Okay, boys and girls, it is now time for reading. And we are going to use our regular reader, so you can take it out of your desk. And our regular reader is called McGuffey's Third Eclectic Reader. I want you to open it today to page 42. And everyone will get a chance to read. I start with the very first girl, and I normally go up and down the rows, so everybody gets a chance to read. And if we finish this story, and in the book, there are actually little numbers by the paragraphs. So some of these paragraphs are only a sentence long, but they all get to read. If the story's finished, we start with another story until everybody else has had a chance. Okay, so we're going to start with girls first. Will you stand up? This is in Roman numerals. And Roman numerals you might not have learned, but there's an X, a V, and it looks like a number 1. The X stands for 10, the V stands for 5, and then the 1 stands for 1. So our lesson is X111. So lesson 13. Okay, will you start first, please? And go ahead and turn and face the class so they can hear you.
A boy was once taking care of some sheep not far from a forest. Nearby was a village, and he was told to call for help if there was any danger.
You did an excellent job, but we forgot to share with everybody the words on top, and they can say it out loud, and we forgot the title. Okay, so the next person is going to go ahead and do those. Thank you. Good story to start. It's actually lesson 13, if everybody will repeat. And the words, they give us the words ahead of time that are kind of hard or maybe different than what we're used to. So say the words after me, please. Wolf,
Wolf,
grieved,
grieved,
sleeve,
sleeve,
neighbors,
neighbors,
earnest,
earnest,
axes,
axes,
clubs,
clubs,
order,
order,
single,
single,
destroy.
destroy.
And since we didn't get the beginning of the story, will everybody say the beginning of the story? The wolf. Very good. Okay, so she read number 1 to us. The next person would read number 2. We'll keep going around. And John, since you're the next one right now, will you stand up and read number 2?
One day, in order to
Nice and loud, and face the class so they can hear.
One day, in order to have some fun, he carried out with all his might, "The wolf is coming, the wolf is coming."
Very good. And just because of speed and as a demonstration, I'm going to read the rest of the story to you. The men came running with clubs and axes to destroy the wolf. As they saw nothing, they went home again and left John laughing in his sleeve. As he had had so much fun this time, John cried out again the next day, "The wolf! The wolf!" The men came again, but not so many as the first time. Again they saw no trace of a wolf, so they shook their heads and went back. On the 3rd day, the wolf came in earnest. John cried in dismay, "Help! Help!" Okay, and I'm going to ask, does anybody know what earnest means? The wolf came in earnest. It means that he really, truly came. This wasn't a trick. This wasn't just the little boy yelling wolf. This means he really came in earnest, truthfully. So now, he screamed wolf and wolf, but not a single man came to help. The wolf broke into the flock and killed a great many sheep. Among them was a beautiful lamb which belonged to John. Then he felt very sorry that he had deceived his friends and neighbors and grieved over the loss of his pet lamb. Now, the very end are 2 lines in very small print. So will everybody in the room stand up? We're going to do choral reading. We're going to read it all together. So, ready? The truth itself is not believed from one who often has deceived. Very good, you can sit. Now that's called a maxim. And later on we're going to be reading and talking about more maxims. But the first one I wrote up here is exactly what you just read from the story. The truth itself is not believed. Does everybody understand what that means? Some people aren't believing the truth from one who often has deceived. Who can tell me what they think deceived means? John, do you know what deceived means? Eleanor? Deceived means, let me find a little piece of chalk. Deceived means lie. He had told a lie. So if you remember in the beginning of the story, he told a lie when he screamed wolf and wolf, and then he did it again. When he actually had the wolf, they didn't believe him anymore because before that he had lied. So if you keep telling lies, people are not going to believe you anymore. It's very important to always be telling the truth if you want someone to believe what you're saying. Maxims are that. It's something that kind of tells you a little story about how to behave or how to live your life. Nowadays we might call it a moral, and that would be the moral to our story. But back in 1904, you would be doing maxims. And we'll just read a couple more of them because we're not going to read any more stories because we're going to continue on with our other lesson. Little strokes fell big oaks. Working is better than wishing. Step by step, the ladder is ascended. A wise man governs his temper. And your teacher can explain to you what each one of those means and how it still means something important today, even though it was written in 1904. Now what I normally would continue to do as my lesson goes on is after we've all had a chance to read separately, I'd read choral reading, which everybody stands up and we all read at the same time. In this particular book, and you may have some in your classroom, poems or short stories, what I like to do, and it makes it a little bit more interesting for the class, is I'll have the girls stand up and read one, and then I challenge the boys to do better than the girls, because a lot of times the boys don't read quite as well as the girls. Then I'll have the boys, when they figure out that this is a challenge, do much better. Then I have another short one for the girls to outdo the boys, and then the boys are last to see if they can beat them. And it's amazing. I've had classes with only 6 or 7 boys beat up the girls. They get really excited about it. So choral reading can be another fun activity when you're doing the book. The nice thing about this book is it has a lot of morals or maxims in it. So if you want to use that for an example, you can always get a book like this over at the Historical Society or check somewhere else, because I think these are even on Amazon.